Here with me now is Reverend Jesse Jackson. It's great to see you today.
Good to see you, Contessa.
Let me ask you, when Bernie Sanders endorsed you in 1988 for president, are you thinking that you're going to return the favor?
No, the context of it was a good thing, as we sought to have a multiracial, multicultural rainbow. We won Vermont 84 and 88 because of that. And it proved that you could really have multicultural campaigns. It was very meaningful to us. The impact of Vermont, the impact of Jim Hightower in Texas, the impact in Michigan. It laid the groundwork for today's politics.
But you don't feel like because he endorsed you, you need to endorse him?
No, I have a relationship with Bernie and a relationship with Hillary. I have high regard for both of them. My interest right now is as I look at the volleying back and forth on television, what's missed is that the black voter in South Carolina is not the minority vote. It's 55% of the Democratic Party. There are more black Democrats than white Democrats in South Carolina. Second, that 1/4 of the state is in poverty. 1 million people are eligible for Medicaid. 250,000 have no health insurance, slightly more white than black. And we never quite get down to the level of poverty and deprivation in that state. The state, 45%, depending upon the federal government in its budget, should not be denying people access to Medicaid expansion. In Bamberg, South Carolina, the hospital that Governor Haley was born in is closed because they refuse to accept Medicaid money. And so we're going to this weekend, going back to South Carolina for about 4 days, working on voter registration and voter turnout and issue development. Voter registration, voter turnout and issue development.
So I wanted to talk to you specifically about South Carolina because that's your birthplace. It's a place that you go back when there is significant news. You were back there when the Confederate flag was moved off of the state capitol grounds. When you're looking at voters in South Carolina, Democratic voters, do you think that there is the same passion and energy, the same motivation to turn out for a Democratic primary this year that there was for Barack Obama in 2008? Well,
Barack Obama brought to the table lots of energy, and he was first African American at that level. It was a big deal. When I ran in '84 and '88, I won the state twice. It was challenging to them and inspiring because it represents progress. I was arrested there in jail in 1960 trying to use a public library. We've come a long way. When I see black and white sitting together, putting for Clemson when they play Alabama, I see social changes, and that's why I hope the candidates will get down to what matters to most South Carolinians. 1/4 of the state is in poverty. They got poor folks options. I was talking to a young lady who was waiting tables there about a month ago, and I said, "You going to college?" She said, "No, I have to buy a car." I said, "A car?" She said, "Yes, my parents have to get to work." She's choosing between transportation, education, health care, food, and a job. Those options should be reduced. We should, in fact, lift our living above that.
But do you see that either one of the Democratic candidates would be better suited to lifting the standard of living for so many Americans of color?
Yes, the first one would be, for example, the affordable health care. The state has a $7 billion budget.
Right.
And they turned down $14 billion in affordable health care money. That alone would lift many people out of poverty, just the Affordable Health Care Act. You think of a state with a $7 billion budget, turning down $14 billion and 60,000 jobs. When you close a hospital in Bamberg, where the governor was born, you have to go to Orangeburg, 40 miles away to the hospital. About like 1,000 people die a year from lack of access. Get down to the issues of people working, but the working poor in that state. And let me say this lastly, Contessa. The state is 30% African American, prisons 70%, prison labor 25%. These are issues that matter. And black colleges, South Carolina State, the only state college in the budget did not get capital improvements. So the issues that resonate on the ground, I don't hear those issues coming through right now.
Before South Carolina primaries happen, we're going to be looking to the Nevada caucuses. And again, the minority population there, roughly half of Nevada's population is people of color, Hispanic, Latino, the vast majority there. And the Culinary Union is a powerful employer, or rather an organizer of employees. They have decided that they're not going to endorse a Democratic candidate this year. Do endorsements matter anyway?
Well, endorsements do matter. It probably is that the administration of the union may have wanted to go one way, and the membership another. So they broke the difference by saying, we'll endorse nobody. But you have, in that state, the issue for the working people is poverty, bilingual education, and immigration policy. And those issues must be addressed forthrightly: poverty, immigration, and bilingual education, and voter access.
And so when we're talking about Democratic work on that front, do you see a difference in what Bernie Sanders brings to the table in terms of his record and what Hillary Clinton brings to the table in terms of her record?
The real difference, Hillary has this outstanding track record of service, from working with the people in the Delta of Arkansas and Mississippi, her focus on health care and Children's Defense Fund. And it's like she's focusing a lot on the great past, and kids 20 years old do not know that past. We're working on the great right now and the great tomorrow. Right now, student loan debt is greater than credit card debt. That matters. Working for people matters. Lack of access to health care right now matters. And so I think that those who are guiding her campaign must do well to sharpen up our focus on today and tomorrow, not just resume.
It sounds to me like you think that the platform that Bernie Sanders is out campaigning on is the one that should be most relevant to people who want to achieve the great American dream.
Right now, he is running a crusade and she's running a campaign. He's focused on issues that are not beyond her zone of interest, so that it must be emphasized more. She, too, has a position that voter Section 4, removed from the Voting Rights Act in Shelby, Alabama, was hurtful. But say that. Black colleges like South Carolina State and Bend, they've lost money because of Parent Plus loans. Remind you again, the African Americans in South Carolina are the majority, not the minority, and they must be addressed in meaningful ways.
Okay, so let me ask you, when people come out and they're watching, I mean, all these cameras are trained on Bernie Sanders going for the breakfast meeting with Reverend Al Sharpton in Manhattan, saying, oh, he's now going to try and shore up his support among African American voters in South Carolina, and he's going to stop in New York City to do that first. Or on the other hand, you have attention turning to the Congressional Black Caucus that came out and endorsed Hillary Clinton, and elected members of Congress said, we're going to go down to South Carolina, we're going to hit the campaign trail, we're going to work actively to make sure that people turn out to vote for Hillary Clinton. Does it annoy you that people talk about African American voters as a monolithic voting bloc?
No, I am concerned, however, that we are targeted for voter registration and targeted for voter turnout, but not targeted for development. We took the biggest hit in the recession. In Chicago, they closed 50 public schools, 50 drugstores, 75 grocery stores, unemployment 3 times the rest of the city. We need a development bank because the big banks used subprime lending schemes and knocked us down. They got bailed out, we got locked out. So down on the ground where the pain is not being addressed as they attack and counterattack these one-liners. We need express plan for reconstruction. Like the plan, the issue in Flint is not just bad water, that's an ethical issue. It's the crime scene, that's a political issue. But the issues beyond bottled water and pipe water is reconstruction. That means investing money to make people have a livable options.
Reverend Jackson, it's always good of you to join me. I always appreciate your time and your insight and your perspective. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Contessa.